If Angel Reese was older, I would have gotten on her about what she just said. Because I would have been like, how naive can you be? But she is young. She's only 22.
And I'm not sure if the WNBA is ready for the ramifications of what has just been unleashed, which is the Swifties joining CCFC.
Angel Reese just made the biggest mistake of her career. Her new podcast was supposed to make her famous, but instead it turned millions of Taylor with fans against her. And guess who's coming out on top? Caitlin Clark. This is wild.
Angel Reese has her podcast, Unapologetically Angel. And on her podcast, she had a guest, Kayla Nicole, who is the ex-girlfriend of Travis Kelce, who obviously dates Taylor Swift, right? I mean, I think everybody knows that. You don't have to know anything, you know that.
So here's what happened. Reese launched her podcast and thought she'd hit the jackpot by inviting Kayla Nicole as a guest. You know, Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend. But instead of gaining fame, Reese ended up with a swarm of angry Swifties coming after her.
Do you know what fans you do not want to piss off? In this world, you don't want to piss off the Swifties. She's pissed off the Swifties. She is pissed off the top Swifties.
Can you believe it? Reese's planed backfired big time. And now Taylor Swift fans are teaming up with Caitlin Clark supporters. It's like a whole new force in women's basketball just appeared out of nowhere. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss what happens next. This unexpected alliance is about to shake social media in ways you never saw coming.
More Swifties are joining Caitlin FC by the second. Oh, it's so over for the league. Swifties becoming Caitlin Clark stans is such a W.
Thought you knew everything about fan power in sports. Think again. The Swifties just entered the chat, and they're not playing around. This is what happens when the biggest pop star fan base joins forces with a basketball phenom. And Angel Reese is about to find out, and it's not pretty.
You know there are some people, like, just in life, you know there are some people you don't want to piss off. Like, you know it's not going to end up well for you. There are some people you don't joke about because you know it's not going to end well for you. You know there are some people you don't want on your bad side because it's not going to end well for you.
It all started when Reese's podcast hit the airwaves. She probably thought she was making a smart move, inviting Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend as a guest. But little did she know she was stepping into a minefield. The Swifties' Taylor Swift's incredibly loyal fan base caught wind of the podcast, and they were not happy.
Angel Reese has her on the podcast. She talks about Travis Kelce, and the Swifties are unleashed. And they first start going for Angel. And, you know, Angel couldn't handle herself in that space, I guess, a little bit. And she posts this, Peyton Pays Too, about it. And she's ready for the onslaught. She's painting her nails to get ready to rock and roll with the Swifties.
Now, you might be wondering, what's the big deal? Well, let me tell you, these fans are not your average group of supporters. They're like detectives, always on the lookout for anything related to their idol. And when they found Reese's podcast, they saw it as a direct attack on Taylor Swift. Especially when Angel Reese said, "I love you guys together."
And on the podcast, you know, this is a small sampling of what was said.
Do you guys see each other? Like, are you guys cool? I mean, I would probably like hit him with a head nod. We've seen each other.
So there's respect.
We've seen each other in public spaces, but I think that we're both aware of the nature of his new situation, that there's just no room really for us to communicate or acknowledge each other publicly without it being spun into something crazy. So we just keep it moving.
I loved you guys together.
But here's where it gets really interesting. While the Swifties were digging into Reese's social media, they stumbled upon something unexpected. They found an old post from Caitlin Clark, welcoming Taylor Swift to the Kansas City Chiefs fan base. Can you believe it just like that? Clark became their new favorite basketball player.
The Swifties, there are a lot of them, and they're in mass. So Reese is ready. She's hunkered down. She's ready to take on whatever comes with Taylor Swift's fans. However, Taylor Swift's fans also unearthed this old Caitlin Clark post. I guess this happened around the time that she started dating Travis Kelce, which meant she was a Chiefs fan, and Caitlin Clark is a Chiefs fan. And Caitlin Clark writes, "Taylor Swift, welcome to the good side, Chiefs Kingdom." All right, so we know Caitlin is supporting Taylor Swift. Not a shock. I think we've known that for a long time.
This discovery set off a chain reaction that nobody saw, coming suddenly Swifties and Caitlin Clark. Fans were teaming up, creating what some are calling the largest fan base alliance in history. It's like two superpowers joining forces, and Angel Reese finds herself caught in the crossfire.
However, the old post is being resurfaced and boosted as Caitlin Clark fans and Taylor Swift fans start to become one, which would equate to the largest fan base perhaps in the history of the universe. And you see like various posts out there. I mean, look, it's just an online sampling, but I found it amusing. This person says, Tay 013. I might start standing. Where do I start?
The backlash against Reese was intense. We're talking about millions of fans mobilizing against her, mocking her podcast and criticizing her every move. It's been described as a cultural war with Reese, severely underestimating the power of Swift's fan base.
Effed up, according to Sir Charles, the Caitlin Clark situation. But I will preface this by saying, yes, the league did, but Caitlin Clark and her play and her teammates' play have straightened it. Here's Charles.
These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan, they cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they tried. People believe what we say on television. Just because people don't like you.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how does this affect basketball? Well, let me break it down for you. This unexpected alliance is amplifying Clark's status in ways we've never seen before. Her social media following is skyrocketing, while Reese's is reportedly taking a hit.
If you do have a bunch of Swifties who all of a sudden became Caitlin Clark fans, that's a problem for any other fan base in any fan debate. I don't know if they're actually sticking around or they're just making a show of it online.
Reese thought she was making a clever move to boost her podcast, and it was because the views and ratings are about to skyrocket. But now she's become a target for ridicule. Meanwhile, Clark, she's riding this wave of support effortlessly. It's a perfect example of how quickly the tide can turn in the age of social media.
Meanwhile, there's the Angel end of it, and she's caught some blowback for the podcast itself. It's just a podcast. She's just 22 years old. I really didn't get myself the point of the booking, but maybe there was an audience for it. Obviously, it got to the Taylor Swift fan base, so I'm sure the views on the particular episode are going to go up. And I don't want this to turn into like anything serious of like, you know, actual fighting amongst fan bases. And we've had enough of Caitlin Clark fans fighting with Angel Reese fans.
So what does this mean for the future of women's basketball? Well, it's hard to say for sure. But one thing's clear, the power of fan community shouldn't be underestimated. This alliance between Swifties and Clark fans is reshaping the landscape of the sport, creating new stars and influencing public opinion in ways we've never seen before. While Angel Reese is in the background saying, "What about me?"
I think Angel Reese is jealous of Caitlin Clark. She thinks she's, the reason why this is all happening here. Caitlin Clark was going to get eyeballs whether she played against Angel Reese in LSU or not.
Remember that infamous hand wave incident during the NCAA championship? It's about to come back and bite someone. In a way nobody saw coming, how did one gesture turn the tide of public opinion so dramatically? Well, let's rewind for a second. During that heated championship game, Angel Reese made a decision that's now haunting her career.
But you've known they were coming for you when you were waving your hands in your face to mock Caitlin Clark when you were beating her for the national championship.
She taunted Caitlin Clark, her hand in a display of unsportsmanlike behavior.
This girl is incredible. What she did in college for women's basketball, what she's doing in the WNBA.
She turned the Fever were 1-8. They have a winning record now.
But the number of attention, eyeballs she's brought to college and the pros, and for these women to have this petty jealousness, you say to yourself, damn, what is going on here?
Reese also doubled down, claiming that Clark's fans are behind something even darker. She's alleging they're responsible for sexual harassment and circulating fake eye images. The tension has moved off the court, and it's getting real and messy in a way no one could have predicted.
So when you were talking about being sexualized in the media, a lot of people were like, well, she asked for it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what does that mean?
I don't know.
I don't get what that means, because I'm a beautiful girl. Like, I'm a beautiful woman. I've been posting pictures in my bikinis. I got a nice body and I work hard for it. And if I want to post a picture in my bikini, I should be able to without being sexualized.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what? How is that possible?
After the season, and when I was in my press conference and I was talking about being sexualized, like, I guess people thought that was like because I post pictures in my bathing suits. No, like, multiple occasions people have made AI pictures of me like naked, literally.
Really?
They have sent it to my family members. My family members are like, uncles are sending it to me like,
no,
are you naked on Instagram?
Well, you kind of are posting a lot of non-appropriate pictures. Take a look at who she blames.
Just the fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans that are like, they ride for her. And I respect that respectfully, but sometimes it's very disrespectful. I think there's a lot of racism when it—
Now fast forward to today, and you won't believe how things have changed while Reese is dealing with the backlash from her podcast. Mishap Clark is riding a wave of support that's taking women's basketball by storm. It's like night and day between these two players. And it all traces back to that one moment on the court.
You can see, what's the word that they use for Caitlin Clark? The motion.
Clark's response to Reese's taunting pure class. She kept her cool, focused on her game, and let her skills do the talking. And guess what? People noticed. Fans both old and new are rallying behind Clark in a way we've never seen before. In women's basketball.
And Caitlin Clark is the same way. In fact, Colin Cowherd has referred to Caitlin Clark as Taylor Swift in tennis shoes. So if you do have a bunch of Swifties who all of a sudden became Caitlin Clark fans, that's a problem for any other fan base in any fan debate.
You might be wondering, just how big is this support? Well, hold on to your seats, because the numbers are mind-blowing. Clark's social media following is skyrocketing. We're talking thousands of new followers every day. Meanwhile, Reese's follower count. It's reportedly taken a nosedive.
You knew they were going to come for you. You had to know that. Now, to the degree that they're doing so, I get where you're coming from.
But here's where it gets exciting. It's not just basketball fans jumping on the Clark bandwagon. Those Swifties we talked about earlier. They're not just casual supporters anymore. They fully embrace Clark as one of their own. They quote, recalling her Taylor Swift in tennis shoes. Can you believe it? A basketball player getting compared to one of the biggest pop stars in the world. This unexpected alliance between Swifties and basketball fans is creating a cultural phenomenon. Clark isn't just a star on the court anymore. She's becoming a household name, crossing over into pop-or culture. In a way that's rarely seen in women's sports, and it's not just about popularity. Clark's rise is changing the narrative around women's basketball. She's showing that you can be incredibly talented, fiercely competitive, and still maintain grace under pressure. It's a winning combination that's resonating with fans across the board. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Despite all the success and fan love, Clark isn't out there boasting or causing drama. Instead, she's staying focused, letting her game do the talking, and the Swifties, they're loving every second of it.
And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. And now, when I watch her, two things I like. She's playing much faster.
Yeah.
Much faster. She was playing too slow the first half of the season.
I think she was tired. I think she was banged up from the college season.
They didn't even give her the understanding, like, you girls been ready for the WNBA season. Y'all been working out on the no straight. She came straight out of college and had to go right to the WNBA like 2 weeks later.
You have to wonder, could Clark's success be fueling? All this tension is her rapid rise, making others in the sport feel threatened. It's tough to say for sure. But one thing is certain, Clark is shaking things up both on and off the court. As her star continues to rise, a storm is brewing in women's basketball.
Caitlin Clark's success doesn't diminish what Cheryl Swoops accomplished. It doesn't diminish what Maya Moore, what Candace Parker, what Cheryl Swoops, what Lauren Jackson, what Stewie, what Asia Wilson, whatever they have done before Caitlin Clark arrived. Caitlin Clark's arrival doesn't diminish anything that they've done.
You won't believe the fan reaction to this whole Reese Clark situation. It's like a tidal wave of opinions crashing down on Angel. Reese fans are scrutinizing everything about her, her integrity, her motives, even her character. They're asking, wait a minute, is it just a play for attention?
Her attention, her notoriety is based off Caitlin Clark. Because she wins the national title, first thing she does, she mocks Caitlin Clark. The eyeballs on the WNBA really have to do with Caitlin Clark. Now, you might, if you stay long enough, maybe you'll see something or someone there you go, okay, I'm entertained by this. But there's nothing wrong with admitting that you watch a sport because of one singular person.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how does this affect the actual game? Well, let me tell you, this surge in popularity isn't just about likes and followers. Translating into real support for women's basketball as a whole, more eyes on the sport means more opportunities for growth, more sponsorships, and more recognition for these incredible athletes. Do just exactly how it happened to golf when Tiger came in.
People watched golf because of Tiger. Right? You tuned in. No matter what event Tiger was playing, you were going to watch. They're still trying to capitalize on him. Playing in the U.S. Open. NBC and Peacock, their graphic has Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and then who's looming larger on the screen but Tiger. So they're still trying to squeeze everything they can out of Tiger. When Gretzky got to the L.A. Kings, Messi goes to the MLS. Maybe Connor McDavid with Edmonton. Like you're trying to, there's somebody you may tune in to watch, and then maybe if you watch, then maybe you appreciate what you're seeing. WNBA has been around a couple of decades, and people didn't notice the game. They're noticing it now. Well, that's because of Caitlin Clark, not Angel Reese. Angel Reese has played a role in this, and she's a very good player. But there's nothing about her game that's really interesting that is going to translate to people who may not watch the WNBA, may not care about basketball.
But what if the key to WNBA player success isn't their jump shot, but their AB ability to win over an army of Taylor Swift fans?
To see all the fans come in there and then all of a sudden say they're Caitlin Clark fans and they're learning about the WNBA. It's safe to say the WNBA already had garnered a level of attention this year that it had never seen before, and maybe no one thought it would ever see. And this is just more support that it's not going anywhere.
The world of women's basketball just got a whole lot more interesting. And it's not because of anything happening on the court, it's all about the fans. And not just any fans. We're talking about Swifties, the dedicated followers of pop superstar Taylor Swift.
But it is an indication of where it is in the pop culture space, where Angel Reese can do a podcast that gets this much attention, that then brings the attention to Caitlin Clark, who already had the most attention from the fan base of the person outside of sports who gets the most attention.
Now, you might be wondering, what do Taylor Swift F fans have to do with basketball? Well, let me tell you, they're changing the game in ways nobody saw coming. Remember how Angel Reese's podcast backfired? That was just the beginning. The Swifties didn't just criticize Reese. They mobilized to support Caitlin Clark in a matter of hours.
This seemed to be the point of a podcast like that. So I would say in this instance, she's got what she had coming to her.
This isn't just about likes and followers. The Swifties are being called a force of nature capable of making or breaking a player's reputation and career. That's some serious power, and it's changing the way we think about sports, fandom. Think about it. We're used to seeing sports fans rally behind their favourite players. But now, we've got music fans jumping into the mix, and they're bringing a whole new level of passion and dedication. It's like two worlds colliding, and the impact is huge.
But make no mistake about it, Caitlin Clark is the reason why everybody has an opinion on what happened in that game. It's Caitlin Clark. And now everybody has to have an opinion, and now you have it feels like we ruined it. Like, okay, you wanted our attention, now you got our attention, now you're like, wait, hold on here. Let's not bring in all these other things here. How about can we just watch the game? Can we appreciate the game?
Welcome to life as a woman when men get involved.
Yes.
We got involved and ruined everything. It was going just fine.
Yes.
But now we jumped in, ruined it, and then we're just going to be like, nah, you guys figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't like the other narrative, like you have the gatekeepers now, like, hey, we've been playing basketball a long time. Where were you? No, we're watching because of Caitlin Clark. I didn't watch the MLS. Messi started playing. I watched the MLS. People watching Tiger, they didn't play golf, but there was Tiger. There was something about him. You have a singular figure here, but now you have everybody who has to have, there's a referendum here, an opinion. You think you know the game. You know what, how are they playing? Oh, they're rougher on her. What her teammates need to do is stand up for her. I would start with that. And the commissioner of the WNBA has got to take control of this to say, there's hard fouls, but then there's going above and beyond the call of duty. She's embraced the villain. She understands social media. She's done quite well. She is literally cashed in. But her attention, her notoriety is based off Caitlin Clark. And now everybody has to have an opinion, and now you have it feels like we ruined it. Like, okay, you wanted our attention, now you got our attention, now you're like, wait, hold on here. Let's not bring in all these other things here. How about can we just watch the game? Can we appreciate the game?
Welcome to life as a woman when men get involved.
Yes.
We got involved and ruined everything. It was going just fine.
Yes.
But now we jumped in, ruined it, and then we're just going to be like, nah, you guys figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't like the other narrative, like you have the gatekeepers now, like, hey,
because a lot of people really do dislike Angel Reese. The reality is that I think that's by design. As she calls herself unapologetically Angel, and the reality is I think that is as much as anything by design. She knows the people are gonna hate her anyway, or people are gonna love her anyway, so she's going to make sure as hell that you have to do one or the other.